Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for another episode of Ask a Therapist. Today I'm joined by two special guests. I have Angela Linz. I don't know how the recording works for you guys, but she's down here for me. And Angela is one of our executive pastors and a mom of three teenagers and cares about her family a lot. So I thought she'd be a good host for us today. And this is Lauren Moore over here. She's a professional counselor. And so today we wanted to dedicate this episode to probably the most unsung heroes of this whole time. This was we're all home, his moms. And so we want to make sure we're taking care of moms. I'm a big fan of what you guys do. And so we wanted to take a little time just make sure we're taking care of moms. Because as I've worked with moms, it seems like they take care of themselves the least of anybody because they're always caring for other people. So we want to kind of reverse that trend a little bit. So Angela, since you're a mom and a little bit more of an expert than I am, would you mind asking a couple questions to Lauren here today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited to get to hear from you, Lauren, as a mom. And I'd love to know from your experience, if you were to give moms the best advice you could give them on what's the best way we can take care of ourselves under these crazy circumstances, what would you say?
Yeah, I absolutely would encourage just really being connected and dependent on the Lord. When I think about just if I am to act and when I do act out of my own flesh and sinful nature and out of my selfishness, impatience, out of any demands, whether they're appropriate or inappropriate demands or expectations, when I act out of those, I know that I do not reflect Christ in those moments. And I know that that is not fruitful or edifying for my kids. And I know that it also leaves me with a lot of regret and sadness of just a situation not going well, beyond not going well, and just knowing that the end goal and that result or outcome or that fruit that I desired, we were even farther away from achieving it before the situation even began. And so I just think about how, left to myself, all of us left to ourselves, that I just know that I don't reflect Christ naturally. And so I just desire so much to be connected to the Lord and fulfilled by him, and then to be overflowing and just letting that outpour of who Christ is and how he's ministered to me and who he is to me and who I am in him, that as I am dependent on him and filled with him and connected and intimate and just walking alongside him, that is where I get the chance to then extend the Christ characteristics to my kids. And I desire that more than what my flesh would give.
That's great. I know as I've been home for so many weeks and so many days with my whole family, I've had patterns emerge in our family. They're different from what we're used to. Some good, some not so good. I make cake all the time. There's always cake. It's not good.
Okay? That sounds like a beautiful thing to me, Angela. That sounds beautiful.
It is. It tastes really good. It's a very unhealthy pattern. And then I've started doing other things that I think are much healthier, like take a walk every day or connect with people in my life. I know you talk to people all the time in online counseling sessions that are living this out day to day. Can you share with us some of the unhealthy patterns that maybe you're hearing about that are starting in families or in lives? And then what can we do to switch those unhealthy patterns? Like help us see what those are so we can kind of be enlightened and our eyes open to notice them. And then what do we do to switch those to go to more healthy behavior?
Yes, absolutely. So I feel that we're probably going to be talking mostly about communication. And then secondly, we'll be talking about schedule or routine, which includes expectations. And so I think that the first thing, which has been most prominent in my self-distancing quarantine life, shelter-in-place life, has just been communication. It is, how am I expressing myself? How am I expressing what I need my kids to do, whether that be instruction, education, what aspect of teamwork am I asking for them to be a part of, and how is that delivery coming across? And so when I think most about my life as a mom, I think about how I communicate. And so I think that those unhealthy patterns can be pretty quick in communication, especially with the quantity of time that we're spending with each other. And so I know that for me that I can, and maybe for all of us, we can be impatient and not kind and not gentle. So that looks like harsh, and maybe it may look demanding. And so I just know that, the delivery of what we say is really significant. Someone broke down communication for me at one point, highlighting that the actual content of what we say is only about 20% of our communication, but our body language and tone make up the remainder 80% of delivery. And so I think that the way that we talk to each other is probably the most prominent way that we've created unhealthy patterns, because we tend to receive what we extend to others. So if we are ungracious, we usually receive an ungracious response. If we're mean or harsh or impatient or tense, we usually get that response back, or a different reaction or emotion that's still just as negative or hurtful or saddening. And so anyway, so I think that that's probably the first one. So I'll just go ahead and stay on this point and just express that the way in which we break that cycle is to be prepared in order for us to deliver something well. And that can look like taking simply one deep breath, breathe in and out before we respond. It can be longer than that. We can count to 5 in our minds before we respond. We just implement some sort of pause that makes us then take a break from that natural instinctive response that we would have that may not have been fruitful, and just to give ourselves the opportunity in order to respond in a wise way that we would prefer to, that we also know will create more so of an outcome that we're ultimately hoping for. And that most likely is either cooperation, teamwork, obedience, whatever the case may be. And so I think that pause principle is really important. And I think that whether that changes our tone or whether that ends up changing our content, just that pause is really helpful. So let me also think about communication with those who we're living with, specifically our spouses. I know that my children are young to where, yes, we engage in teamwork, but more so I'm very much an authority figure in their lives right now, versus having teenagers where it may feel like more of a teamwork. I'm going to follow up with you when I get into that stage and ask me how to get through it. But anyway, at this time, I think that it's really important for husbands and wives to be connecting well and just to be expressing everything from, here are my needs, here's what went well, here's what didn't go well, hey, I could really use your help and support in this way, or even simply, hey, I am feeling, fill in the blank. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling discouraged. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling sad. I am grieving a lot of losses, everything from recitals to school pictures to my alone time, all these things that we might be grieving at this time. And so just really being honest, which I think helps with self-awareness. And out of that self-awareness, then you're able to express yourself and just to really let your partner in that very vulnerable, honest, even raw space, and just saying, this is what really this is like for me. And then to give them that practical help with, okay, this is what support looks like for me. This is what it looks like for us to be more of a team throughout the day. And whether there are, whether maybe one person is primarily working in their career right now and the other one is less, or whether it's still a very shared experience of both parents are highly involved in their careers still, of just navigating that routine and schedule and expectation. And so I think, anyway, we're ended up going into the second point, which is just that I think that communication has a lot to do with expectations. This is how the structure of the day is going to go, and clearly communicating that. Maybe that's putting a schedule on the wall. Maybe that's creating a checklist for kids to come off. Honestly, I know that my kids, I had to manage sugar a lot. The request for sugar is really high. And so I'm not going to kid. We have a checkbox of the number of sugars that they're allowed to have each day. And so once they go get it, they have to make a check mark. And that is honestly helpful.
Same thing with electronics. That's what we do with Xbox. Check off your time, and that's all you're getting.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I just think that communication, like I said, whether it's verbal instruction or whether it's a calendar helping communicate for you of, hey, we know our healthy limits, we know our healthy boundaries, we know our healthy routine in this time. And this is just kind of helping us come back to that checkpoint over and over, so that we end up not, repeating or extending unhealthy cycles and patterns, because we really have something that's helping guide us.
Yeah. So it sounds like really kind of, if I could summarize a little bit, and if I mess up on the summary, please let me know. But like the first thing that we've got to do, especially you guys as moms that are giving and giving and giving, is to make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, and especially nurturing that relationship with the Lord, whether it's just a few moments of prayer, reading the Bible, listening to worship music, whatever it be, that's kind of got to be a daily practice, so that we can go back and be able to communicate and really monitor our communication and check our communication. And I've always made fun of the breathing technique, but it works. It's so bizarre. I used to like, oh, that's stupid, it doesn't work, but it does. If we just pause and breathe for a moment, it kind of calms ourselves down. We respond in a better way, and then kind of looking at different, maybe some schedules or some routines that we can create, limiting some things like video games or sugar or whatever it would be in the house. And so, man, Lauren, thank you for your time. And you are doing telehealth right now, where people can call in if they need to. And Lauren's one of our therapists on our website. So you can just find her, Lauren Moore. And so you can reach out to her if you need to talk to someone, especially. I think that's important too, for feeling overwhelmed, not to be too prideful in that, but to realize we need each other and to reach out. And so, man, I want to thank both of you guys, because I know you both, and you both really do care about your kids a lot, and are trying to do everything you can to be the best moms you can be. And I know you give and give and give and give and give. And that's why we want to do something for moms, just to say thank you, and make sure you don't just give so much that you have nothing left to give. So any last parting words of wisdom from Angela or Lauren here to moms as we head out from our Ask a Therapist interview here?
For myself, I would just say, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is okay to hide in your closet for a few moments for that pause, correct? Okay, so I can count to 150,000 instead of 5 if I need to.
Angela's number's a little higher that she needs to
I go slightly higher than 5. So
yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
Timeout is good for all of us, whether we're alone, whether timeout is actually a tool in marriage conflict, is to have that predetermined, hey, whenever we realize that things are escalating, one or both of us will call a timeout. We will separate for a determined length of time, 5, 10, 30 minutes max. Hey, I'm going to go to this room. The other person's going to this room. We're going to calm and collect and cool off, and we're going to be ready to come back for that teamwork and collaboration. And so whether that's alone, in marriage, or in parenting, timeout's a great thing.
That's awesome.
I think that saved me, and connecting with friends over technology has saved my life through this. It's been awesome.
Yeah, we're playing a game tonight for a group of people I work with. We're playing Pictionary on Zoom. So there's a whiteboard feature. So I know it's probably stupid. I shouldn't have thrown that in at the end, but I didn't know what else to say.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's trying something. So, well, thank you guys. Take care of yourselves. Let's all keep growing in our ability to love God, so we can love other people better. But thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you.